Let's face it, most of you that are watching this video right now, myself included, will probably never have enough money to afford a car like this 2022 Mercedes-AMG GT53 4MATIC Plus 4-door coupe. Long name and a bit of a mouthful, I know. But let's pretend for the next 12 to 18 minutes that we just won the lottery. So next to your Porsche or Ferrari or Lamborghini, or maybe all three, should you add this 4-door coupe to the collection? Well, let's go for a drive and see if this is worth all that dough. To make the AMG GT53 4-door, you would think that Mercedes would just take the regular AMG GT and stretch the wheelbase a bit and add a couple of doors. But not so. This car actually doesn't really share a whole lot of components with the sports car. Instead, it shares a lot more with the Mercedes-Benz E-Class and the CLS-class. In fact, it's the same platform and it uses the exact same powertrain. This 53 model is powered by a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6, and it produces 429 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque. The engine also gets a little bit of help from a 48-volt mild hybrid system, which Mercedes-Benz calls EQ Boost. Now, this mild hybrid does not allow you to drive on electricity alone like how you would in a Toyota Corolla hybrid, for example. Instead, it provides an additional 21 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque for brief moments when the engine really needs it, like when you put your foot down, for example. And with this engine under the hood, the AMG GT53 can accelerate to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.5 seconds, at least according to Mercedes-Benz. Unfortunately, here in Canada, this 53 version of the AMG GT 4-door is the only one that we get. The V8 has been discontinued for the 2022 model year. Maybe for 2023 it might make a comeback, I don't know. And if you're watching this in the United States, then you also have the 43 version of the AMG GT 4-door. That one also uses a turbocharged inline-6. But also you guys don't have the V8 option as well. However, if you're watching this in Europe, then you guys do have a V8 option. And you also have a hybrid V8, which I'm a little jealous because I kind of want to test drive that one. But getting back to this 53 version, I really like this engine. This is one of my favorite engines, not only because it's an inline-6, so it's inherently very smooth, but because of the addition of the mild hybrid system, it is really responsive and it puts out a good amount of power. This being an AMG model, it unfortunately does not have an Eco Drive mode. In other non-AMG Mercedes vehicles that use this inline-6, the Eco mode will turn off the engine for brief periods while coasting. But at least with this GT53, the engine will shut off before arriving at a complete stop in comfort mode. During my time with it, I averaged a very respectable 11.7 liters per 100 kilometers. Officially, this car is rated for 12.3 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 9.4 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. Shifting gears is a 9-speed automatic transmission. In comfort mode, the shifts between gears are so smooth that you don't feel them. Once you start to switch the drive mode into Sport, Sport Plus, or even Race, that's when you really start to feel those shifts. However, I think it was done on purpose by the engineers, just to add a bit of drama and theater to the whole driving experience. In those sportier modes, the shifts are really quick and the steering wheel mounted paddle shifters are quick to react as well. However, they just don't really feel that great. I mean, the material that they're made out of is really nice, but just the action of pulling on it, it's not really that satisfying click that you would expect from a paddle shifter. This particular demo vehicle came equipped with upgraded brakes as part of the manufacturer package. This included larger 390mm, that's 15.4-inch front discs with yellow 6-piston calipers, and 360mm, that's 14.2 inches, rear discs with a single floating rear caliper. These brakes fill the wheels nicely, but also provide a ferocious amount of braking force. It doesn't take much effort from your foot to stop the almost 2.1-ton car. However, in everyday traffic, the brakes don't feel grabby and are smooth to operate. Driving the GT53 four-door around some corners, it doesn't feel quite as intimidating as one would expect. At least not as intimidating as 63 versions of AMG models, like the E63 wagon that I drove a while back, and you can check out that video up here if you're interested. This has a nice balance between sporty driving as well as daily driving in a bustling city. The steering does get progressively heavier as you drive into a corner, but it feels like as though it's done with electric motors rather than the resistance of the tires against the road. However, on the plus side, the steering is direct and it's pretty reasonably quick. It's not as quick as the M4 that I drove last week, but it's pretty quick enough for what this car is. This GT53 four-door comes with standard 4MATIC Plus four-wheel drive. It is a rear-biased four-wheel drive system. However, if you want to have some fun and you opt for the race and drift package, I forgot what the actual name of that package is called, I apologize. But if you do opt for that, then it does come with a drift mode, and this four-wheel drive system becomes rear-wheel drive only. To engage this secret drift mode, because there is no rotary knob that you can switch the car into or push a button to engage drift mode, you first have to put the drive mode into race. Then completely turn off traction control by holding onto the button for a few seconds. Then switch the car into manual mode, and then pull on both steering wheel mounted paddles. Then you'll get a message in the driver display, and all you have to do is pull on the up paddle to confirm that you want drift mode, or just pull on the down paddle if you want to cancel the operation. And then you can start drifting your AMG GT four-door. If you want to turn off this drift mode and get back into the regular four-wheel drive mode, then just turn on the traction control or switch away from the race mode, and that'll automatically disable drift mode and re-engage the four-wheel drive. Now, as I said in the performance section of this review, the GT four-door sits on the same platform as the E-Class, and as such, it looks like an E-Class in the cabin, apart from the center console, which is straight from the GT two-door. It has the same row of buttons on either side, four of them, that have little tiny screens in them so you can see what you change, apart from this one in the bottom right, which is just a blank button. It would be nice if this button was for the ride height, to raise it. The center portion of it has the touchpad for the infotainment system, which is the older generation infotainment system, although it's not really that old, but it's not the same one that is used in the new S-Class and the new C-Class. Right in front of it is a row of haptic buttons for certain quick access items in the infotainment system, such as the navigation, your telephone, favorites, radio station, and so on. In front of that is your cup holders, and if the car were equipped with a wireless charging pad, then it would be in there as well. The only problem is with this whole cup holder arrangement is that because of the cover on the center console, if you have two medium cups in there, then to get one out, you have to move the other one. It's a really cumbersome design, in my opinion. But because this car still uses the older generation infotainment system, you have a row of physical controls for the climate. It's not built into the infotainment system, which is a good thing in my opinion. One small complaint that I have about this center console has to do with the gear selector. It does double as a rest for your wrist every time that you use the touchpad, but it's really far back. So instinctively, whenever I want to, for example, get reverse, I always find myself reaching up here instead of down here. And actually, the very first time that I got into this car, I instinctively wanted to reach here where the gear selector is on other Mercedes-Benz vehicles. So this, it's just a bit too far down. Not a big deal, but it just takes quite a bit of getting used to. One big complaint that I have with this interior has to do with the dual spoke design on the steering wheel. It looks really great, but these capacitive touch controls only work maybe like half the time. Let's say, for example, you want to swipe left or right, then it thinks that you're swiping up or down. I much prefer the older style steering wheel with the BlackBerry little touchpads. Those were much better to use than these. But again, apart from that, like I said, very much an E-Class interior, apart from the center console, of course. In terms of space, I am 6'4" and I have plenty of it. Headroom is a little bit less, and this seat is in its lowest position, so just be mindful of that. Outward visibility is really good out the front and out the side, but out the back it's a little tight to see, especially with the headrest getting in the way. In the back, there is a pretty decent amount of space. With this seat in my driving position, my knees are actually not touching up against it. There's just enough space. However, I cannot say the same for headroom. Even with this indentation in the headliner, my hair is still brushing up against it. This particular car does have the 3-passenger option in the back, so there is a buckle for the center occupant, but the driveshaft tunnel is really massive. You can option the GT 4-door with a center console, and if you get that, then you also get a touchscreen in the middle with a separate climate zone, wireless phone charging pad, and heated and chilled cup holders. And of course, the seats do have a heated function. So if I were to buy this car, then I would go for that package, because the person sitting in the middle is not going to be comfortable at all, and it'll take away the space from the two outer occupants. In the trunk, it can accommodate 535 liters of space with the rear seats up. The GT53 has a hatchback liftgate, so the opening is decently sized, and the back seats can fold 40-20-40. On the move, the GT53 is a very quiet sedan when it's in comfort mode. There's minimal road noise from the tires, minimal wind noise, and very minimal engine noise. The auto start-stop system is fast and extremely smooth thanks to the starter generator. In the more sporty drive modes, the engine is louder and you can hear pops with each upshift and burbles on the overrun, but the cabin insulation is excellent. This makes it hard to hear the engine from the inside when the windows are rolled up. Unlike the Mercedes CLS53 AMG, the GT53 does not have standard adaptive air suspension. But as part of the manufacturer package, this demo vehicle did have it equipped. This air ride suspension is a wonderful bit of technology as it provides an excellent ride through some of the worst potholed city streets. But it also provides great body control at the touch of a button. As you would expect, this AMG GT53 4-door is not cheap. It's a lavish car with an equally lavish price tag. It starts at $123,900 Canadian. This demo vehicle costs $158,700 Canadian as equipped. Most of the price comes from the special manufacturer package, which costs $25,000 Canadian, and it should be noted that the US spec GT53 does not have this package. At least I couldn't see it on their website. For the 6-figure price tag, the GT53 has enough gadgets to make it seem like it's well equipped, but when you really get down to it, this car needs the premium package at the very least. In Canada, this package includes ventilated front seats, rear window sunshade, heated steering wheel, surround view cameras, Burmeister sound system, rapid heating function for the front seats, heated front armrests and upper door panels, Napa leather upholstery, and AMG light carpet. This package costs $7,100 Canadian. On the outside, the GT53 4-door has the same stylish coupe design as the CLS53, but with slightly more pronounced rear fenders, a slightly more aggressively styled front and rear fascia, and large 21-inch wheels. The two cars look similar, but there's no doubt that this GT53 gets more onlookers. So in the end, this car has me scratching my head just a little bit. It's a really great car. The engine is absolutely phenomenal. The interior is really comfortable and very well appointed, and it has all the gadgets that a modern Mercedes-Benz driver could ever want. However, the CLS53 AMG has the exact same engine, the exact same gadgets, the same performance, and it even looks really similar to this as well. But crucially, it has a starting price that is roughly $20,000 less than the starting price of this. Canadian dollars, of course. And if you spec up both of the cars with the same features, then that price gap gets even bigger. This feels like a very niche car. It's for those that have money to burn and they want something really unique and that stands out. And this accomplishes that very well. However, if I had a six-figure budget, I'd be perfectly happy with a CLS53 while I'm sipping mojitos on some tropical beach with all the money that I saved. Great car, but a very niche market. Anyway, do you agree with my conclusion, or do you think that I'm talking nonsense? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to know more about this AMG GT53 four-door, I wrote a more detailed review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner right up there. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck, or most likely, it'll probably be an SUV next time. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.